Hi there, my name's Vince from mymatevince.com, and in this video today it's another trying to fix video, another video where I've bought something faulty off eBay and I'm going to do my best to repair it. So here we have an old Smiths stopwatch, and it's a mechanical one. So you wind it up, it's fully wound at the moment, and then you press this top bit and it will start to go round. Now, I bought this because it said it kept stopping. And it does, but it's really hit and miss. You can do it 20 times on the trot and it won't stop. And then the 21st time it will stop. Now, you're not going to believe this, but this is the first time I've done this today, and I pressed it a few minutes ago and it got to 5 seconds and stopped. But now that it's the video, it will probably keep working every single time. Let me just do it a few times just to see if it does go, because I've had this thing running for over an hour and it was perfect. So let's see now, but also it's not centering itself properly. Can you see it's kind of starting at 1 second rather than starting at 0 or at 60. Right, here we go. See if it does it now. Normally when it stops, yes, it's done it, brilliant. Normally when it stops kind of between 0 and about 13 or 14. If it goes past that, it's okay. So there you go, that's the proof that it's not working as it should do. But now if I do it again, it will probably work fine. Yeah, there you go. So it really is hit and miss. And sometimes it does center itself properly, but not all the time. So I think what this might need is a clean. So now I've tried to take apart mechanical watches before and automatic watches. And basically an automatic watch is, well, roughly 3 different types. Quartz watch runs off a battery, and then you've got a mechanical watch where you need to wind up, and then you have an automatic watch that has a rotor in the back that basically does the winding for you as you wear it. So this is a mechanical stopwatch. We have to wind it up in order to get it work. There's more than 3 types of watches. There's other types as well. There's a tuning fork one, Acrotron or something. Not too sure, but it looks pretty interesting. So what I'm going to do is I think it just needs a clean up. Now the reason I went for this is because it was relatively cheap. So if I break it, it's not the end of the world. And also it's big, because the other attempts I've tried to do are on women's watches, because again they're much cheaper than men's, but they're tiny and it's really hard to work on. So I'm hoping with this it will be slightly easier to work on. Now it's got this back just looks like it's a push on back. I'm not sure about the dates. Online it says all different things. Some people say it's from the 70s, some people say it's from the 60s, some people say it's from the 80s. So I'm not really sure what this one's what date this one is actually from. But if I go there, you can see that the hold on, let's reset it. There you go. So you can see the little balance wheel down there is working away. So I think we'll take it apart and we'll try to clean it and then oil it when we put it back together, and we'll see what happens. So I'm quite looking forward to getting into this. Now let me show you what I paid for it on eBay. Okay, so you can see here, vintage large Smiths stopwatch, spares or repair. Nice, large, heavy old Smiths stopwatch, very clean but will need an oil movement. And it just says down the bottom, hold on now, what's it? Movement seems dry, keep stopping, good clean movement and balance. Now it was up for £15, but it was offers as well, so I got it for £12.50, which is quite a bit because these don't really go for much money at all. If you have a look there, you can see £12.50. So yeah, that's exactly what I'm going to do. I'm going to take it apart and just see if I can clean it. Now, half the battle with these is trying to get them back together again, but I'm hoping I'll have more chance because it's bigger. Simple as that. But although it's big, it's still not big. If you see it compared to the size of my hand, the parts are still absolutely tiny. But I'll have more chance of doing this, I hope, than a watch this big. So that's the main thing. Even if I don't get it working, I just want to be able to take it apart and put it back together again. I want to see, because it's going to be experience, and then if I can get used to that, hopefully I'll be able to do smaller watches, and also then in the future maybe more expensive watches. So yeah, that's what it is. It's quite interesting here. It shows if you have a look at the balance wheel, can you see that there's a big piece of metal sticking up against it. So when I press that, see the metal releases it, and then the balance wheel starts moving, which then gets the stopwatch working. And then when I press the top, that thing moves up here and then hits the balance wheel. Then I press it again, it resets, and then press it again, and it moves lower again. So it's quite simple, it's just stopping the balance wheel. And this is 1/5 of a second. So you see down the bottom there, 1/5 of a second. And if you have a look, each second is divided into 1/5. And I like the way that it's a sweeping, well, it is a sweeping second hand, but it must be moving 5 bits per second. So it wouldn't be as smooth now as a watch that does, I've got like Seikos that do 6 movements per second, and other automatic watches would do 8 movements per second. So I'd have to slow that down, but I presume it's moving 5 times per second. So let's get this thing apart and see what it's like. So I'm just going to be fast forwarding through most of this and then stopping on the bits that I think are interesting. So to begin with, I'm going to try to take the movement out of the case. So I'm going to loosen this screw here and this screw, and I'm hoping then it will, oh actually I'll have to loosen up this as well. I'm not sure how I'm going to loosen up this. I don't know yet. Let's take this out to begin with. Maybe I have to loosen this screw. Often there's a screw near the crown on watches, and then it allows you to take the crown out. But I don't know about in this instance here. Not sure. No, I've come across my first hurdle. Right, I think what we need to do is we need to take the tension out of the mainspring. So I'm thinking that I have to move this bit round here. There you go, you can see it's unwinding. Now I would have thought that would have shot round, but it's going quite slow. So maybe that's the problem. Right, okay, so it mustn't be like a watch. I think I'm going to have to take apart this section here, and then hopefully that will then lead to me being able to take the crown, because I can't take the watch out, not the watch, the stopwatch out of here until I get rid of this. So I'm going to undo these screws here. Also, this watch was a tiny little bit slow as well, so I keep calling it a watch. The stopwatch, you know what I mean. Every time I say that, you know I mean this. It was a little bit slow as well, so when I left it on for like an hour, it was a couple of seconds slow. But you can see here there's a fast and slow movement here, so I would be able to hopefully adjust that from this bit here. A little spring here, I'm not 100% sure where that went. See, that's the problem. I don't know. I'll have to worry about that when I put it back together. There we go. Right, so that's that section off. I can see a little bit of oil under the gears here, but maybe it just all needs a bit of a clean up. I'm not sure where the friction's coming from. Okay, there's a balance wheel. It's lovely, isn't it? That spring. Okay, so here we have the mainspring. So when we wind it, this gets wound up here, and then it goes on to this first wheel, second wheel, the center wheel here, which actually does the second hand. And then to stop it unwinding all at once, it basically goes through this, these are not the proper words, obviously the proper names, this like ratchet one here, and then it goes through this like pallet staff here. So what happens is this allows this pallet staff to just move one bit at a time. So it's like chick, and then chick, and then chick, and chick. And the thing that moves that one bit at a time is that balance wheel that I showed you, with the springs. So it's like boom, 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 and it's moving this, and because of that it stops it from unwinding all at once. So if I was to take this out and this and wind it up, the second hand should just fly around. Now the problem I always have is getting these back in position again afterwards, because they're very fine and the pivots on them are absolutely tiny, but this looks to be about 3 or 4 times bigger than it was, for example, on one of the on that Tudor ladies watch that I did. So I'm hoping that I'll have more chance of getting these back in. Also, this has less jewels as well. So this is a jewel down here. So parts that have a lot of movement will have a jewel in. Can you see this kind of like pinky coloured purple thing here? And the reason they have that is because when it's metal against metal, it creates friction. And so basically after loads of use, that hole can get bigger and bigger and bigger, and then it can become loose, and then it can just start seizing up. And as well, because of the friction, you can have poor timekeeping because it will get slower and slower and slower. So with a jewel, because it's so smooth, when the metal's against it, there's very little wear because the jewel's very hard and very smooth. If you can imagine like a lump of ice, and then the metal's on that, and if the metal was spinning on a bit of ice, it's going to spin a lot better than if it was spinning on rough concrete, for example. That's how I believe it is anyway. But on this now, because it's probably, because it's not designed, there you go, the mainspring just fell out there. Because it's not designed, how do I say the mainspring? Does this go around in the middle? Yeah, it does. Look, there you go. So you can see I'm holding on to the middle. So in here, there's a coil. Basically, it's a very long flat bit of wire, flat bit of steel or something, and it's coiled up. And then when you wind it, all it wants to do is go back to its original shape again. Yeah? There you go. Yeah, because this is not designed to be running 24 hours a day, every single day of the week, every single year, it doesn't look like this has much joules. Maybe it was written on it somewhere. There you go, 7 joules. So if you have a look there, there must be 7 of them. For some reason that one doesn't want to come out. Oh, that's because that's attached to the minute up here. So we have a minutes hand and a seconds hand. I'm a bit stumped as to how this comes out. Can't take the hands off until I get this out. See if I can take the ring out. Oh, maybe I'll push it down to release the ring. Yes, I do. Okay. Right, so now can we get this out? Yes, we can. Brilliant. Okay, so I can give it a nice good clean in here now. This looks like it's plastic. You can often tell when it's plastic crystal because if you get your finger on it and do that, you can kind of hear it. And you see, if it's then mineral glass or sapphire, it doesn't make that same noise because there's not as much friction. Right, okay, let's see if I can get these hands off. Just putting a little bag over it just to protect them. No, I don't know how. Oh, these don't want to come off now. Don't know if these push on or is there some other way of doing it. That one's just come out the back. Thinking they must push on. Try and get the smaller one off, and then I might have a better idea. No, they are not coming off. Just going to see if I can undo these two little screws just to see if there is anything interesting. Well, I suppose, oh, here we go. How weird is that? Look how easy it came off then. So all that pulling, and then it just popped off. Oh, so look. These, no, the hands must have been pushed onto them. But they are kind of on these weird cam things now. Right, okay. Well, that makes it easier for me anyway. So now, essentially, we have got it completely apart. So I can give this a nice clean up here. And this is the mechanism here, so I can oil all of this up now, can't I? I'm going to get some IPA, give it a clean. In fact, I'm going to give every single part of this a clean, and then I'm going to oil it as we try and put it back together. So the only thing right now I'm unhappy with is that little spring that came out earlier. I'm going to have to try to work out where that goes, but hopefully that will be possible. Now, I did buy myself an ultrasonic cleaner, but it looks so clean already. I am just going to use the toothbrush and some IPA cleaner. Okay, so most of the time you can just use a bit of force to pop the crystal out. In this case, like I said earlier, this is plastic. But what it will allow me to do now, I can give this a polish up. As you can see, it's very badly scratched up. So I'm going to polish that. That is every part of it dismantled apart from this mechanism here, and I don't think that I need to dismantle that because that's only for the pressing of the button there, so I don't think it's going to get a huge amount of use. So I'm just going to basically drop oil into the different parts around the place, and then hopefully it will all be okay. So what I have to do is completely reassemble it, which is obviously a lot easier said than done, because no doubt I'm going to run into trouble. So I'm going to be fast forwarding through it, and then on the bits that I find tricky or whatever, I'm just going to pause it and tell you what I find. I'm also going to try to polish this up as well. I'm going to use some whitening toothpaste because it's just plastic, and I'm just going to go over the edge here and give it a nice clean, and then I'm going to use that Plast X by Maguire's, and then hopefully that might give it, it might fill in some of those scrapes. Because it's a stopwatch and because it's like a domed glass on it, what happens is it gets left on this side a lot, and then it just scratches up on whatever surface it's on over the years. Right, so I'm going to try and reassemble this now. Oil, and I've also got watch grease. So I'm going to be putting oil in pretty much all the places apart from here and stuff. On these bits here, I'm going to be using grease. Screws back in, I'm going to be using this stuff here. Rodico, I think it's called. because it's really sticky, and it's just, if you can imagine, sort of like plasticine. And then what I can do is I can pick up the screws like so, and then I can put them into the right place. Here is, I haven't got a proper dropper, so I'm just using this pin pusher, so very little oil's going on it, and I'm just making a little droplet of oil on the ends here. I'm just tapping it, and then I'm just basically going into each of the, where the axles are going to go, so each of the kind of pivots, and into the jewels. Don't want to put too much oil in, otherwise just dirt's going to attract to it and then it's just going to all clog up. Again, because these hands are not moving smoothly around, they're catching there, so I want to see what's happening. As you can imagine, I'm finding this spring here particularly tricky. Can't really work out, I mean there's a hole here, so I'm presuming there's a part of the spring here that sticks up. So I'm thinking that that bit has to go into the hole, but I don't really know. I think that's it. What you had to do is you had to line it up so the point of the spring was going into here, then secure it into place, and then just get some little tweezers and just shove the spring this side into place there. It's kind of hard to explain, but I think that's what it's supposed to do. And now, if you can see, I think it's supposed to put pressure against that one there, I think. Left everything a little bit loose to try and get it lined up, but right now, as you can see, it's not ticking. So it should be going now because I've got power in here. It is winding up. What it is I don't think the pallet staff and the sort of ratchet wheel before it are lined up properly. I'm going to take all these out. Pallet staff is not lining up for me, so I'm going to take this apart. I think we're okay up to this point here. I'm still not sure if the second hand and the minute hand are loose. Right, okay, so let's take these out again. Start this again. So when I wind it up, there you go, so they're going. There. I think that's okay. Still not resetting itself properly though. Okay, did that time. But it did that before, where sometimes it would work and sometimes it wouldn't. Here to be in the bottom pivots, so now I have to try and get them into the top ones, and this is where I struggle. Right, I'm really struggling with this, and that's the problem I always have, is always when it comes to the lining up. So basically trying to get the pivots into the top bit. So I can get them into the bottom bit, but then what I need to do is I need to place this on top, and I need to get the top of these axles into these tiny little holes, and that's what I struggle with. Okay, I think I've got it now. So I haven't screwed it up yet, but if you have a look at this gold gear here, when I move this pallet staff, can you see it is moving around? So if you look at that line there, you can see. So now hopefully when I put the balance wheel on there, or the balance spring, then I'm hoping that will do the job there, and this will just give it a little kick round. Okay, it's starting to go, but then it stops. Right, that could be because of the, I wonder, could it be because of this getting stuck the minute hands? See where it gets stuck. Right, so it's getting stuck there, and that's where it used to get stuck before. I wonder if it's to do with the way it goes through this dial. You know, those cams, I wonder if they're slightly off. Still not resetting either. Why is it not resetting? Still not resetting to 0. Stop in there, you see. Yeah, keep stopping there. So that says to me that it's not to do with the movement. I think it's more to do, because it's stopping in the same place. I think that the cams, you know, those things on the inside are slightly off, or where it goes through the hole might be slightly out. So I'm just going to have a play around with the moving the dial around the place and see if it makes a difference. Right, well, I'm going to temporarily just put it back together so it's not wobbling around, and then I might be able to move the hands a little bit, see if I can get it in the right spot. You can see it wobbling there, so it's meeting resistance there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to play around with it, try moving these hands around the place, and then hopefully I might be able to get it going, and then I can just sort out the crystal. So I'm going to come back to this in a bit. Okay, I'm definitely getting there. I'm approaching 3.5 minutes and it hasn't stopped yet. So I'm just going to keep wiggling things, wiping things, cleaning things, and then hopefully it's going to start working again. So annoyingly, it's still not resetting. Sometimes it does, but not every single time, which is weird. So that must be something to do with maybe there's a bent mechanism where remember just underneath the dial there. But anyway, I'm going to keep letting this work round, because maybe it could be that I also put too much oil in there, because you can't put too much oil in because it's I think it creates more friction if you kind of oil the wrong parts and stuff like that. So by letting everything kind of move around the place, it will probably, I'm hoping, get better and better. So I'll get back to this now in a little while after I've polished up this and then given it a final clean up. So it's now time to try and clean up this plastic crystal a bit. At the moment, it's really hard to make out in the video, but it's full of scratches. Just trying to get the light to bounce off it properly. I don't know if you can, the only thing you can see is if you look at the 60, can you see the O looks a bit, you can sort of see the lights catching off it. Yeah, it's not really coming across. But it's full of scratches just from where it's been left on its front. So I was going to use toothpaste, but this came through today, so I might as well try and use this STOPWATCH. Apparently you just rub it in for 2-3 minutes and then just buff it off, and it's supposed to get rid of the scratches. So that's what I'm going to do. Right, what's interesting when I'm using this is that to begin with it was really rough, and now already I can feel it smooth, so it must be pretty abrasive. In fact, you can hear that. You can kind of hear it scratching. Okay, so that's the cleaning done, and look how good it's come up. Look at that plastic acrylic crystal now. Might not come across in the camera, but honestly that looks about 80% better. So I've still got a few scratches up here. In the middle I've got a few scratches, so I might go over that again, and there's 1 or 2 by the 45. But overall it's come up absolutely fantastic, so I'm definitely going to be using this again. While I had it out, I just thought I'd rub it on the back, see what happens, and because it's quite abrasive, it was getting quite a lot of the dirt or the metal off it, so it's probably not ideal for that. But it seems to have cleaned it up anyway, because this was quite dirty, and it's given it a really nice shine. So if you look at it now, I mean, that does look in really good condition, doesn't it? So I'm really happy with how it looks. Now, the function of it, which is the main thing, isn't really any better than it was before. It seems to centre better up top, but not all the time. Sometimes it still will just go to 1, and sometimes it still stops when I'm using it. So I would say that it's no better than it was before, but at the same time, it doesn't look to be any worse either. And for me, it's a success because I had it completely apart in bits, and I managed to get it back together. So if you have a look now, you can see that is going, and then if we stop it and reset it, there you go. Can you see it's not at 1, but at the same time it's not perfectly up top either. It's kind of just past where it should be. Let's try that again. There you go. You see it's just gone to 1. But then other times it will reset. There you go. So yeah, it does seem to be slightly better at that. I don't know whether it's going to loosen up more over time. In fact, now it seems to be going a little bit past, doesn't it? It seems to be going a bit past it now. There you go, back to 1 again. So it's far from ideal. There you go. But at least it's not. It doesn't really appear to be worse than when I received it. So that is it for this video. Overall, I'm happy because I had it in so many parts and then I managed to get it back together and get it working again. So to me, that's a big plus. And now hopefully, when I come to do automatic watches, I will have more chance of fixing them in the future as I get more and more used to the tweezers and working on such small components. So hopefully you enjoyed this video. If you did, please give it a thumbs up and please subscribe for more trying to fix videos and how-to videos. Take care. Bye now.